The NFL draft is over. It's time to prepare you for your rookie drafts. So we have a rookie mock draft. We know the landing spots. No more cockamamie NFL mock drafts. This is the real deal. So, well, as we go through this, I'll kind of talk through what I thought was really good for fantasy, maybe some disappointments for fantasy. I think just off the top here, I suppose we could get right into this as I'm going to throw Ashton Genty on the board because my God, what a landing spot to the Raiders. This was not a surprise. But I think overall, the third round, as I was doing this exercise, is where it kind of gets a little bit disappointing. Where I thought that there would be more teams in or on day two that would take a running back, like the Bashul Tutons, the Cam Scadabos, Dylan Sampsons all fell to day three, early day three. And then it was followed up by, Trevor Etienne, Woody Marks, Jaden Blue in round five, although good landing spot. Still, day three, we'll see how much opportunity he's going to get. And then there's, a lot of other interesting names that we'll talk about. But I just think right off the bat, I thought that was kind of disappointing, although maybe we should have saw it coming. At the 102, I honestly think you could go in a number of different directions here, depending on where your team is. If you're a win now team, though, which we all aspire to be win now teams, I think the answer is Omarion Hampton. If he went in the first round to the Chargers. I know Najee Harris is there now, but I would assume that's at minimum a 50-50 split. It is interesting in the sense that Najee Harris is a very similar style of running back to Omarion Hampton. So that would lead me to believe that Najee Harris is a bridge to Omarion Hampton, or they weren't sure if they could get Omarion Hampton, so they brought in Najee Harris. But I think that's a signal that Omarion Hampton is going to be the bell cow. Maybe not this year, maybe this year. Who knows? But it's probably going to be a 50-50 split between Najee and Omarion Hampton. With I would lean Omarion Hampton big time in that way. So we'll move on to pick number 3 here. And this is where I'm going to put up Travis Hunter. Now, you tell me what you think in the chat. But this trade up that the Jags made for Travis Hunter was really good for fantasy because I know Brian Thomas Jr. is there. But if you look outside of Brian Thomas Jr., there isn't a whole lot that scares you. Now, I get it. They could play him at corner a little bit more than we might like. But you start to look at their depth chart. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, likely going to play outside receiver. And then it's Diami Brown, Parker Washington, Gabe Davis, Joshua Cephas. I mean, there's not a lot. They don't have a ton of depth at wide receiver. And then the other pass catchers on their roster, Brenton Strange at tight end, Travis Etienne, I guess, survives, but you got Bashul Tutin there as well, Tank Bigsby. I mean, you could see, and I haven't sat down and done my projections yet for redraft. That's coming in the next week or two. But I would imagine you're looking at, assuming he plays 60 to 70% of the snaps, which is very possible. I would hope 70, maybe. Obviously, we're hoping 80, 90, like in that range, but I don't know if that's realistic. You're probably looking at a 20 to 25% target share at least, I would assume. But again, we'll see what that looks like when we get there. But again, I think that this is a really good landing spot for him. And now I'm going to throw up Cam Ward. Cam Ward, the safe pick at the 103 would be Cam Ward, but I like to live dangerously, So Cam Ward going to the Titans at the 101 in the real NFL draft is great for him. And I thought, looking at what they did in the NFL draft, I thought maybe they could have added another wide receiver. I thought maybe that they would do that in round 2. They did bring in Tyler Lockett. They have Van Jefferson to go with Calvin Ridley. They did draft Alec Ayumanor in round 4, Chimere Dike in round 4. I think I'm saying that right. But I think that this is a low key, decent, average, not good, not great, average situation for a rookie quarterback. He does have an offensive coach. So I think that there's some stability with this pick. It might be boring, it might be vanilla. I personally couldn't take him over Travis Hunter, but I would understand it if you needed a quarterback because he is going to be a starter for, I would assume, at least 2 to 3 years, and that's probably worst case scenario. Let's go to the 105, and that's Teteroa McMillan. Thought about moving him up a little bit, but I think that this is based on how everything shook out. I think that this is where he belongs. We are trusting the Panthers. Yes, I get it, but you look at the play caller there, Dave Canales. You look at what he did in Tampa Bay with Mike Evans. I think he thinks that he has his Mike Evans. And you look at the target competition there in Jacksonville, and there's not much there, to be honest with you. I mean, it's Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, who's on the older side of things. I get it. They draft. I mean, they don't even they draft Jimmy Horn in the 6th round. David Moore, Jalen Coker. I mean, there's just not. They didn't add a tight end either. I mean, not until round 5. So there's not much target competition. He's a top 10 NFL draft pick. I mean, you can make the argument he should be higher, but I think 5 is probably as low as he falls. And now I'm going to throw up a running back, and that would be Quinshon Judkins. He lands with the Browns. I am a little bit worried about this offense. Their quarterback room is amongst the worst in the NFL with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. They added Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who's probably still out partying right now. So, I mean, I've never seen somebody party so hard for being a 5th-round pick. I am a little bit worried that this offense is going to be average. They're not going to move the ball as much, but what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to run the football, and Quinshon Judkins is perfect for that, and there's no competition. I mean, they did draft Dylan Sampson. I would assume that he's going to be a change of pace back for them. Jerome Ford is there, but Quinshon Judkins should be the bell cow here. Moving right along, we're going to throw up another running back, Trevion Henderson, at the 107. I don't love this landing spot as much as some other people do. I'll just say that right now. The Patriots, I get it. Belichick's not there anymore, but it's the remnants of that Belichick way of thinking where you want to go back to Corey Dillon. They have had bell cow running backs before, but based on what they have, I mean, they signed Ramondre Stevenson. They extended him. They have Antonio Gibson, who can do a lot of things that Trevion Henderson can do. And, they add Trevion Henderson to this, and I think it's kind of weird, to be honest with you. And I was really hoping that Trevion Henderson would last one more pick for my Bears, both for fantasy and because I wanted Trevion Henderson because I think he's awesome. And I think talent does win out the day, which is why I have him this high. But I think the landing spot is a little bit concerning because Vrabel, I could see this being a committee. I just could. And I know they spent a high 2nd-round pick on him, but I just am a little bit concerned. I really wish he would have landed a little differently. The Bears would have been a perfect spot for him because I think he's hands down better than DeAndre Swift ever could be. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Next up is I have Caleb Johnson. And I get it. We're taking him over another running back who's coming up. Caleb Johnson lands with the Steelers. I think he's just a 1-for-1 Najee Harris replacement. And I think he gets a lot of opportunity right away. I think he's a really good fit there for that offense. I get it. They're likely going to sign Aaron Rodgers. The offense may not be fantastic in year 1, but I do trust the Steelers to move the football. Arthur Smith is a capable offensive coordinator, as much as we didn't like him, as a head coach. They added DK Metcalf. They have George Pickens there to take a little pressure off the middle of the field, to ease up those defenders in the box. So I do like this for Caleb Johnson in terms of fantasy. And there's one thing I came out with um, a rankings video, and I don't know what I was thinking. I can admit this to you, but I've since moved up RJ Harvey. I had the tight ends over him, which is I look back on it and that was a mistake. So I apologize. That video is already up. But I've since changed RJ Harvey because there's just I can't rationalize. I mean, if RJ Harvey, I just can't in good conscience when I sat down to do this draft, I can't in good conscience take one of the tight ends over him because I mean you could argue conceivably argue that he should be right in the mix there with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I mean, that's not crazy to think. I wouldn't take him ahead of those two guys. I mean, it's a real conversation between him and Caleb Johnson, and I would understand if you had him ahead of Caleb Johnson. But I think that this is probably where he belongs. Let's move to the 110, and now I will throw up the tight ends. Colston Loveland, I get it. It's crowded in Chicago, but I really don't think Colston Loveland, I don't think he's the one that's going to suffer from this as much as, another player that we're going to talk about who's fallen down the rookie rankings. So he is clearly Ben Johnson's guy. Ben Johnson made the comparisons between him and Sam Laporta. So if he's Ben Johnson's version of Sam Laporta, he's going to be good for fantasy. He's worth taking here. He's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He's probably going to be, frustratingly inconsistent. That's just probably what's going to happen because you look at the Bears depth chart and DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden. They added Olamide Zaccheaus and Devin Duvernay. And now they throw in Colston Loveland. And, oh, by the way, Cole Kmet's still on the roster. It's amazing they didn't add a running back other than Kyle Monangai in the 7th round. But it just felt like they kept getting sniped by the Patriots, by the Giants who took Cam Scatabo, the Jags took Tootin before they could pick. So he's going to be good for fantasy, but frustratingly inconsistent at the start until maybe, who knows, maybe they move on from DJ Moore at some point. I don't know. But I still do believe he's worth a top 10 pick or a first-round pick here in a rookie draft. And then we have Tyler Warren, who has a pathway to a higher target share than Loveland in year one. So if you're doing a redraft, I think it's still risky to trust a rookie tight end in redraft, but Warren in redraft, again, there's Michael Pittman there, obviously Josh Downs, but he's going to have a pathway to opportunity in year one because he's clearly the starter. Like there's no Cole Kmet in Indianapolis. There just isn't. So the quarterback play could be an issue. With Anthony Richardson, we know what we're getting with Daniel Jones, so there's a slight insurance policy there. But again, I think that this is where he belongs at the back end of the first round. And then I'll throw up Emeka Egbuka to round out round one. Weird landing spot. Very strange pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made, but this, I think, is a pick for the future. And if you won your championship, this is the perfect player to take. Emeka Egbuka, he was our wide receiver 3 in the class, if you count Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, which we do. We had him over Luther Burden at the Dynasty Roundtable. He is going to likely be competing with Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard for reps. And I would imagine he's going to beat out Sterling Shepard. But the reason this is strange is because they just signed Chris Godwin. And they have Mike Evans there, I suppose. Mike Evans is getting up there in age. I guess you could look at that and say they're looking ahead. But I really thought that they might be in on that linebacker from Alabama, Jahad Campbell. Did not go in that direction. They went wide receiver. And again, I trust the talent here. I think Emeka Egbuka is one of the more solid prospects in this draft. And I took him ahead of this guy. And I know some people think Matthew Golden has a much better landing spot. And I do think that he could be the number one wide receiver because I do think out of all the wide receivers they have, he's the most talented. But there's just a lot there, and Matt LaFleur has proven to us that he likes to distribute the ball around and he likes to run the ball. I mean, I don't necessarily trust Matt LaFleur to utilize a weapon like Matthew Golden in the way that we want him to for fantasy. Now, he's obviously going to use him to try to unlock the offense. But if you're sitting here and you're going to tell me Matthew Golden is going to be the number one wide receiver, the Packers are going to give him 10 targets a game, I just don't think the Packers offense works that way. They're going to use him as a piece, but I just don't know if he's that alpha for that team. I don't know. But again, he's the first wide receiver they've drafted in round 1 in a long time, so maybe I'm wrong. Next up, we're going to throw up Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart winds up with the New York Giants in the first round. Now, this is another pick for the future because they have Jameis Winston. They have Russell Wilson. So there's a chance if your league mates are impatient or if everybody's wanting to win right away, or if maybe they just don't believe in Jackson Dart, that he falls a little bit. And he does fall a little bit here in these rankings. But you better believe, and this is a classic move. This is what NFL franchises, head coach, general managers do when they're on the hot seat. Because they can point to Jackson Dart and say, look, this is our guy. We just need time to develop him. You know, we're gonna be able to win some games with Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston right now, but we got Jackson Dart sitting here waiting in the wings for the future. Just give us time to develop him. So that's the risk, Giants fans. And trust me, as a Bears fan, I know when the Bears traded up for Justin Fields, that's the risk that you run when you let a coaching staff and a general manager who haven't been the most successful and who might be on the chopping block, if you let them make a pick at quarterback, I mean, and they trade up to get him. So anyway, I do like the process because generally speaking, because you need to constantly be, if you don't have your quarterback, you need to constantly be trying to swing and get your quarterback. And if you believe Jackson Dart could be the guy, then I think it's a good move. But we'll see if it pans out. Jaden Higgins is up next. I really like this landing spot. I think he's going to be the other outside receiver paired with Nico Collins. I also like their next pick, and we'll talk about him in a second. But clearly, this is a sign that Tank Dell is. I mean, this is a clear sign that they can't trust Tank Dell to stay healthy. And so, and John Mechie's there, but I don't think that he's going to stand in the way of Jaden Higgins. I just think Jaden Higgins is, Michael Pittman. That's been my comp for him this entire time, and him paired with Nico Collins makes a ton of sense. And then Jalen Noel they took in round 3. I mean, the Texans just know how to do it. I'm a big fan of what they were able to do in the NFL draft. And then, Luther Burden, we're going to throw up right now. Again, we talked about it a little bit when we talked about Colston Loveland. Luther Burden, it's just going to be crowded, man. He's going to be the Rome Odunze this year, most likely. Because Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, all these guys have had experience playing with Caleb Williams, and it's probably going to take some time. At Missouri, they kind of gimmicked him up a little bit. And didn't necessarily, I mean, they put him in the slot quite a bit. I think he fits in 3 wide receiver sets. Odunze and DJ Moore playing on the outside, him in the slot with Colston Loveland or Cole Kmet on the field. That's really, really scary for opposing defenses. But again, I just don't know if the target share is going to be there in year 1. Long term, I think that this is a really good pick. If you're at the 104, you get Cam Ward, potentially Travis Hunter and Luther Burden. I think you're doing cartwheels, somersaults, whatever celebratory dance you enjoy. Maybe maybe the Icky Shuffle, if I'm even saying that right, or the Key and Peel, the 3 pelvic thrusts, and maybe you do that. I don't know. Let's move on. Trey Harris, and you could make a real case, and I would listen to it, I might not agree with you, but Trey Harris, his landing spot is amongst the best of the wide receivers, in my opinion. I think it's right up there with Jaden Higgins. You could even argue it's a little bit better than Jaden Higgins because Lad McConkey is there, who's a perfect slot wide receiver, and Trey Harris plays the outside. Now they have Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston. I get it. They're bringing those. They brought back Mike Williams, but Quentin Johnston could not catch a cold last year. And if Trey Harris is the real deal, I think he could thrive in this situation. This could be a real steal. It's a big swing here in the second round to try and pick Trey Harris, or not to try and pick Trey Harris, but to pick Trey Harris. But I love big swings like that. So if you're telling me, I wouldn't personally take him over Luther Burden or Jaden Higgins, but in that offense with that quarterback, yeah, I mean this could hit in a big way. You could also whiff. Um, so Jalen Noel is going to be my next pick. We talked about it a little bit when I talked about Jaden Higgins. I just love the fit here, and it's amazing that these two guys are going to be able to play together in the NFL. I mean, this I don't even know, can't remember a time when it's happened. Two wide receivers on the same college team are going to play in this on the same NFL team. I just think it's perfect. You have Nico Collins on the outside, you have Jaden Higgins on the outside, Jalen Noel in the slot, probably going to split time with Christian Kirk. So you might not see the payoff right away. He's going to be on my list of people to buy low on when inevitably he doesn't produce for us in fantasy right away, because he probably won't. But I do think he's worth the 206. So moving on to Kyle Williams, who was drafted by the Patriots in round 3. Again, paired with Drake May, and you start to look at the depth chart there in New England, all of a sudden you get to at least I get the sense that this could be a playoff team. They bring in Stephon Diggs, they add Kyle Williams in round 3, they brought in Travion Henderson. They've upgraded their offensive line. They draft Will Campbell with their first pick. And look at all the moves they've made on the defense too. And they have Mike Vrabel as head coach. Now, the offense may be frustrating at times, and Kyle Williams is going to have to compete with Demario Douglas, who's proven to be a capable NFL wide receiver, maybe in Matt Collins. But I don't view that as a huge roadblock for him to get playing time right away. So I think middle of the second round is a perfect spot to take him. Jack Besh. And if you wanted to take Jack Besh over any one of these two, over Jalen Noel, I probably wouldn't do it. Kyle Williams, I think it's a conversation. But Jack Besh lands really well with the Raiders, and there's not much target competition there. Brock Bowers is there, yes. Jacoby Myers is there, yes. But then Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, they drafted Tommy Melton, Dante Thornton Jr., Jack Besh, they spent second round draft capital on him, so you could really talk me into it ahead of Kyle Williams. I wouldn't hate it. Tyler Shuck is up next. This is just because I really don't know what to do with Tyler Shuck. So if you have an idea for me, leave it in the comments. I don't like this prospect at all. I don't understand it. There's some people hyping him up. Apparently he was high on some NFL teams' boards. Obviously he got taken in the second round here. It doesn't make much sense to me. He was not productive in college. He's 25 years old. It took him that long to break out. I don't get it. I get it. He's big. He's mobile. But I don't think he's very good. So good luck, Saints. I hope it works out for you. But this is as high as I can take him in my Superflex rookie draft. And to be honest with you, I don't even like taking him this high. But it's kind of process of elimination. There's not much else left on the board that excites me. Let's talk about Terrence Ferguson. That last part isn't entirely true. Because Terrence Ferguson, there's some other players down here that we're going to talk about. But the point is, the upside is certainly there with Shuck. If he hits, which I suppose it's possible, then, he's a big athletic quarterback. But again, I think the tape's horrible. But anyway, Terrence Ferguson, great landing spot with the Los Angeles Rams. The only thing really standing in his way is Tyler Higbee. There's target competition, but Devontae Adams is not going to be there long term. I mean, maybe for a couple years. I don't have his contract pulled up in front of me, but I think when you take a tight end in round 2, it's a statement. I think Terrence Ferguson could start for them this year. So we'll see how that shakes out, but I think it's definitely worth the risk in a tight end premium league to take him this high. Bashul Tutin, talk about an upside swing here at the back end of round 2. I don't know if he's going to fall this far. I could see somebody taking him in the middle of the second round. He has a pathway to opportunity. He has juice. We all know he has speed. I believe he has pass catching chops. And as we mentioned, the only thing standing in between his standing in his way for playing time is Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, and we have a new coaching staff, new general manager. I think Bashul Tutin sees playing time in year 1. Let me know what you think. Moving right along, we're gonna close out round 2 with Mason Taylor. I like the fit from a target share perspective. I don't necessarily like it from a situation standpoint. Justin Fields is not going to throw the ball a ton. This is a team that's going to lean on the run. Breece Hall survives, at least for the time being. It just goes to show those rumors were a little bit silly because they did not add a running back in the NFL draft. I suppose Donovan Edwards is an unrestricted free agent, but that's it. So this is a team that's going to run the football. Mason Taylor, he's going to be the starting tight end, and not much competition there. Jeremy Ruckert, Stone Smart they signed, but then outside of Garrett Wilson, it's Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard. They did draft Arian Smith, signed Tyler Johnson, drafted Malachi Corley last year, but again, none of those names scare me from a target share perspective. Let's move on to round 3. And let's draft Cam Scatabo. This is where, some people had him very high pre-draft. This is about where I thought he would go in the NFL draft, and this is about where he belongs in your rookie draft. I'm totally fine taking him here. If somebody wants to pump him up ahead of one of the wide receivers, there's no way I'm going to get him, and I'm not drafting him ahead of Bashul Tutin. Let's move to Dylan Sampson now. Sampson is going to be playing a role in that Browns offense. Maybe not this year because Jerome Ford's there, although I do think he's better than Jerome Ford. So I think that there's a real chance he could play right away alongside Quinshon Judkins. But again, the offense is probably not going to be very good. Quarterback questions, the whole 9 yards there. And that quarterback room all of a sudden the Browns quarterback room is the weirdest quarterback room in football, with Deshaun Watson injured again. Now you throw in Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. I'm just saying, one of those guys is probably not making the team. In fact, I would imagine Shedeur Sanders is probably, there's a chance he doesn't even make the team. But let me know what you think of that in the comments. We will move on to Elijah Arroyo. I do like this landing spot, not as much as the other ones. Elijah Arroyo, let's see, when he was drafted in round 2 round 2, pick 50 to the Seahawks. So obviously you have Noah Fant there. He's gonna be standing in the way, so he's gonna have some competition. But long term, I do like this pick. Let's move to the 304, and we're gonna stick with Seattle. We're gonna stick with Jalen Milroe. I think. Okay, and looking at the quarterback situation, I get it. They signed Sam Darnold, but Jalen Milroe, I think, has a chance to develop here. I really do. Now, defensive head coach Clint Kubiak's there as the offensive coordinator. We'll see if he can develop him. But this is a really good situation for Jalen Milroe because he needed a place where he didn't have to start right away. Tyler Shuck, I don't like that situation at all for Tyler Shuck because he's gonna be thrown to the wolves right away, more likely than not. Unless they're counting on Spencer Rattler or I can't even remember the other guy's name that they have there. I know they have Ben DiNucci, but Spencer Rattler, I suppose they could start him. But you draft a quarterback in round 2, you're probably gonna play him. Jalen Milroe gets to sit behind Sam Darnold. And I do think that there is an outside chance that if Sam Darnold struggles, Milroe could see time toward the end of the year, but it's likely going to be Sam Darnold's show for the entire season, assuming everything goes right for them. Let's move on. Harold Fannin to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns had a fascinating draft. They really did. And Harold Fannin is a big piece of that. I get it. He's probably not going to be fantasy relevant right away because of David Njoku. Also, the quarterback play. We've talked about that enough. Which, speaking of that, but I do think Fannin's a decent player. I didn't love the film as much as some other people, but I think taking him in the third round in a tight end premium league when he got round 3 draft capital is good. Now, Dylan Gabriel, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the draft, went a lot sooner than people think, and he's in a quarterback competition now with Shedeur Sanders to be the quarterback 3. I would assume in Cleveland. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in this draft class. I had him as my quarterback 5 heading in, and we'll see. And you never know, because right now the only thing there is a broken down Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Shedeur Sanders. So there's a pathway there where Dylan Gabriel could start some games. Maybe they want to see what they have. Trevor Etienne goes to Carolina in round 4. And I don't think I think that this was a good outcome for Chuba Hubbard. So if you were worried about Chuba Hubbard coming into the NFL draft, I don't think you need to worry, because Rico Dowdle's there. It's probably going to be a competition between him and Rico Dowdle for the backup role. Don't forget that Jonathan Brooks is also there. He tore his ACL, so he's probably going to miss most of 2025, if not all of 2025. But something to keep in mind. So, but taking a shot on him here in round 4 is, I think, perfectly fine. Woody Marks. I do like Woody Marks quite a bit. I like the prospect, and I think this landing spot is pretty good. And you could talk me into ranking him over ETN, because you look at the Texans backfield, and in fact, maybe I should have him over ETN. It's funny when I do these things, or when I do these drafts, it's funny how many times I'm going, well, why did I do that? And this isn't a classic case. I think I'm going to make this change right now. Woody Marks, I think, needs to be ranked ahead of ETN because he's got a much better pathway to opportunity. He just does. Rico Dowdle's in Carolina, and I know that's not a huge hurdle, but Woody Marks is going to be the backup. I mean, Daria Gumbawale, Damian Pierce. I mean, Woody Marks is a better player than those guys, in my opinion. So I think he belongs, and the only thing that's standing in his way is Joe Mixon. And obviously Joe Mixon's going to take the lion's share of the carries, but I think Woody Marks gets work in year 1. Now we're going to go to Ty Felton, and this was one of my favorite sleepers in the draft, and he lands in Minnesota. And it's interesting. As I said, I made a weird noise there. Minnesota, I love the offense. Obviously, we have J.J. McCarthy there this year, so there's a little bit of uncertainty. But outside of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, I get it. It's really Jalen Naylor, Tim Jones, Rondale Moore, Ty Felton. There's a path there where he could be their wide receiver 3 or 4 this year, and I think the Vikings got themselves a really good player in round 3. I do. I like Ty Felton quite a bit. Talk about another player I really liked, and that's Jaden Blue. He goes round 5, but he goes to Dallas. Dallas, you couldn't have asked for much more from a landing spot perspective, because there's a chance, probably not, but there's a chance he could start. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, they did add Phil Maffa in round 7, but Jaden Blue is explosive. He can catch passes. He caught 42 passes this past year at Texas. He could provide some real juice for them in the backfield. He really could, right away. So I like that landing spot quite a bit for him. Jarquez Hunter goes to the Rams. Now he's buried behind Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. But if you are a Kyron Williams is going to fall off the edge of the map guy, which there are a lot of you out there, I don't believe that personally, but if you do, and then it's just Blake Corum that's standing in the way. And so we'll see. I mean, the Rams are one of these teams that they continually like to add running backs. But for now, I think he's buried. I could be wrong. I mean, I doubt I'm wrong, but I guess I could always be wrong. DJ Giddens is up next. He lands with the Colts in round 5. And this is just a strategy of mine. I would much prefer a day 3 running back over a round 3, round 4 wide receiver most of the time. And I get it. DJ Giddens, there's going to be Jonathan Taylor there, right? But Jonathan Taylor hasn't necessarily been the picture perfect definition of health. And the only thing standing ahead of DJ Giddens is Khalil Herbert right now on the depth chart. I guess Tyler Goodson's there, Salvon Ahmed. But DJ Giddens is a really good player, and I think that they got a steal in round 5 with him. We're going to move on to round 4, and I'm going to throw up Jordan James. I think that this was a perfect fit for the 49ers. I think Jordan James is exactly the kind of running back that Kyle Shanahan likes. Very good, plant your foot in the ground and go in a zone blocking scheme. He slots in behind Isaac Guerendo right now. Christian McCaffrey's health is in question. You just never know. I mean, I don't think that there's a scarier redraft pick than Christian McCaffrey. I get it. There's a lot of upside there, but for me, McCaffrey's a best ball only kind of guy. Guerendo, I mean, to be honest with you, Jordan James, maybe I should have him higher. You let me know what you think in the chat. But in this offense, with those players in front of him, I think he has a real pathway to some opportunity if things break right for him. We're going to move to the 4-2. I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about this guy. I watched a little bit. Isaac Tesla. He goes in round 3 to the Lions. It's going to be crowded there for him, which is why he falls a little bit. I mean, just think about it. I mean, Tim Patrick is slotted as their wide receiver 3. They have Khalif Raymond. Those are the guys he's going to have to beat out. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. So I doubt he provides as much for fantasy right away. So maybe I should have him a little bit lower. But again, in fact, I am going to make that change. I'm going to put Devin Neal here instead and move Tesla down a little bit. Devin Neal winds up with the Saints. And I like this landing spot a lot for him. Now, again, he's not going to produce right away. He may not ever produce, but he's slotted right behind Kendre Miller, Clyde Edwards-Helaire they added as well. And obviously Alvin Kamara's there, but Alvin Kamara is no spring chicken, and we'll throw up Tesla. And I've talked about him. We'll move on to the 404, and that would be Pat Bryant. And it's funny, I don't necessarily agree with some of these picks. But Pat Bryant in round 3 to the Broncos with the wide receiver core that they have, I can't deny that, he could play for them, and he could play a significant role in year 1 because he has a higher draft capital than Devon Vele. They drafted him higher than they drafted Troy Franklin last year. So he could slot in as their wide receiver 3. I doubt he beats Marvin Mims, but Marvin Mims is kind of a deep play threat. So again, that offense is going to be interesting. Jalen Royals is up next. He winds with the Kansas City Chiefs in round 4. And if I had to make an exception for a wide receiver in an offense getting taken in day 3, it would be with the Chiefs. And they have some veterans on 1-year deals. Marquise Hollywood Brown is just on a 1-year deal. They're probably looking for a replacement for him potentially down the road. Rashee Rice, I mean, what's his situation going to be with a suspension? So you just never know, and taking him here in round 4 feels like a value. Alec Manor, it kind of broke my heart to see him fall out of day 2 because that was one of my predictions that I was very confident about. But again, he winds up with the Titans in round 4, and he's got some, the only player standing in his way, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson. If you want to say Chimere Dike, who I guess they took ahead of him, Treylon Burks. But I think he could win a wide receiver 3 job there. I really do. 4-7, we're going to go Savion Williams. I don't necessarily love this prospect. I don't love the landing spot as we discussed with the Matthew Golden landing spot. But I can't deny round 3 to the Packers. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife type player. This is probably where he belongs. He probably shouldn't fall much further. I'm going to throw up Taj Brooks. This is a low-key good landing spot. I know the draft capital is not what we would have wanted it to be, but landing with the Cleveland, or not the Cleveland, the Cincinnati Bengals, Chase Brown's there, Zach Moss is there, Samaje Perine there, so there's a lot there in front of him. But who knows? You just never know, and taking shots on running back is the direction I would go in the late round 4. Ollie Gordon, and I'm just going to throw up some more of these running backs because that would be my preferred direction in rounds 4 and 5, is just take shots on running backs. And Ollie Gordon winds up with the Dolphins. It's kind of an interesting fit because I don't necessarily know if he's a perfect scheme fit for what Mike McDaniel likes to do, but he would be a nice complement to the Devon A. Chains, the Jalen Wrights. They added Alexander Madison, so he's buried there. But it's just you're taking a shot in the dark with some of these guys. Brashard Smith, I have next. Another one of these players I thought fell way too far. I wish the Bears would have taken Brashard Smith. Now, with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have shown us for multiple years now that they're willing to give some later round guys a chance. One of these guys, I don't know if you've heard of him, Isaiah Pacheco, Carson Steele last year. So you just never know how these things are going to shake out. And my guess is Isaiah Pacheco's safe. He was playing off of an injury last year, but Brashard Smith could be a nice compliment to him. Last 2 picks, Kyle Monangai. I think, assuming the Bears, and they could add a veteran running back, there isn't a ton out there. Nick Chubb's out there. But Kyle Monangai, I don't think DeAndre Swift's a very good player. I was dead wrong about DeAndre Swift. I thought he would excel in this offense last year. Kyle Monangai is a decent player. Like, Kyle Monangai is his tape is good. So I'm just going to say this. Roschon Johnson is on notice officially. Kyle Monangai could definitely beat him out for the backup job easily. Last pick, we're going to throw up Torrey Horton as he winds up with the Seahawks. And we know that this is kind of an interesting pick because Seattle has this kind of receiver already on the roster, at least in my opinion. In the slot kind of wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba, they signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. But, Torrey Horton could be the wide receiver 4, could win that job. And Cooper Kupp's an older player, so he could see some playing time in year 1. That's going to do it for us. That is a round 4 post-NFL draft, rookie mock draft. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know where you think I went wrong. Let me know where you think I went right. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.